Hello, welcome back to SCI Teach. So, I want to give you ideas, hints on how to pass Jamb with beautiful scores. Now, we all know we have to read all the topics in the scheme for Jamb, if you're writing Jamb, and then study past questions to see or test your knowledge of the topics you've read and all that. But there are some things you must do if you want to pass JAM, especially with flying colors. Now, I want to take you back to last year. So, I have my students where um, I prepared them for JAM. Now, normally we would read, the topics together, study everything, and then get past questions and all that, and we're well equipped for that exam. But when exam started, we discovered that the structure had changed. What I mean is, JAM would normally spread the exam days into exam into days. So the first paper or the first set of people that wrote, we discovered that the structure in which JAM used was a little different from what we expected. What I mean is, the way JAM set their questions, JAM has done a very good job to make sure that you hardly or you don't easily notice that questions repeat. I say easily because while some people think that questions don't repeat, I know of certainly that questions repeat. Now, even though they may not repeat word to word, they repeat in context. What I mean is, let's take for instance, JAM wants to set questions for 5 students, take for instance, and they don't want these 5 students to have the same question. But then they know that these 5 students should be exposed to the questions that come from the same topics. So they pick a particular topic. For instance, let's say the mole concept in chemistry. They pick a particular topic and set so many questions from there. Now, the context of those questions will always be the same, but the question will differ. So if it's a calculation subject, they set the same question but different values. So in that case, if you understand the topic, then you can answer any question coming from that topic. Now, some topics are so direct that you can't easily break it down to so many areas. So, in such aspects, JAM sets the questions and then alternate the options. And in some cases, if they asked a particular question and the answer was in the option, they turn the option in the next case now to be the question, and the question of the other person is now in the option of this other person. So in that case, the context is the same, but the questions differ. So we could say those questions have repeated, but in context form. That's how JAM cleverly sets their questions. So because of this, we devised a means, dedicated a WhatsApp page, and told all our students, okay, so when you go to exam hall, take note of the questions you are answering. If you finish on time and you can write some questions out in a piece of paper, fine. Some did that. But take note of some of those questions after the exam. As it is still fresh in your brain, send those questions into that WhatsApp group. we're using that to test something. So they sent those questions in. Some people wrote so many questions, up to 10, 15 questions out, and sent them into the WhatsApp group. And then we use that to prepare for those who are going the next day. And guess what? When they went to write the exams the next day, they saw most of those questions repeat in context form, and even some of them repeat directly. So now the first paper has helped the second set to understand the context of the exam, and were able to write and pass successfully. So I had about 11 students, and they passed very well because of this understanding. So what I want to do with my students here online is, you're not going to see me give you questions on chemistry, physics, all those science subjects for Jamb. You're not going to see me generate questions and do that, because I know that it may get to that day of the exams and the context changes as it did last year. So what I want to do is, of course, we are going to do questions for the Jamb text, the Lekki headmaster, but not for those chemistry, physics, biology, and all that. But on that day, the first day of the exams, we're going to still continue the way we did last year, which helped a lot. We're going to get students to send those questions they have faced in the exam day, their own exam hall, into that WhatsApp group, and then we use that and understand the context and know how to arrange questions. So that's to say, if Jamb starts, take for instance, on Monday, we'll get questions from Monday, and then we will study those questions, and then that's when I will post questions, and that's when we will post questions on YouTube here for you to understand the context. And then luckily those questions repeat. In fact, you are going to have a higher percentage of passing Jamb than if you did not study those questions that are being written in those your days of exams. So that's what I'm intending to do. I intend to do. So on the days of exam, the first day of exam, we will start posting questions, and then because you might have already read enough and you've prepared for the exam, and then you've now seen questions that are being set recently, and you understand the context in which they are being set, and in the questions you will clearly see, just like last year, that the questions sent in on Monday, and which we will review together, and the questions sent in on Tuesday, which we'll also review, you will see some of them repeat. That's the people that go on Tuesday will send in questions that we have already seen those questions sent in to us on Monday. So that tells you that there are repeated questions. Some repeat in context form, some repeat almost directly, and some the options are changed to questions, and the question is now in the option, and like that. But just practicing those questions on that week of exams as they come gives us a better chance of passing, and that's what I plan to do. That's the tip I have for you in this coming Jamb you're going to write. So my point is, read, understand those topics. In fact, check the syllables, Jamb syllables, check the topics you have to read all of them, understand them, use your past questions and test your knowledge of those topics, but get ready for that moment where we will use the current structure Jamb uses for your own set, so that you can then be sure that the ideas you have of the topics you've read are in the right context, the way your own set is expected to answer. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. Now all I need from you is your cooperation. Share the videos on this page to your friends and others that are writing Jamb and WAEC. Subscribe to the channel, and I had so many testimonies from people that wrote Jamb and WAEC, NECO last year because they used content from this page. They had so many good testimonies and they met their papers. So it's because I've done it before and it was successful that I have the confidence to do it again. So don't be left out. Contents here are made for your own consumption. Share it to others so that we'll have a larger family of people who succeed. All right? Thank you.